Hello, Science Alliance! Hello, I am Lara. This is Theoscience. You are the Science Alliance. This is our second mycology lesson, which we found out in the first mycology lesson means the study of fungus. But you don't need to have seen that lesson. You don't need to have seen it at all, because we're going to catch up on everything that we learned last week as a little kind of reminder, and because it would be useful for us today to know the difference between bacteria and yeast, because they're quite good friends. They're hanging out like in you right now. We'll talk about it. So yeah, this whole lesson is going to be about yeast. We're going to make it what's called a sourdough starter. If you don't know what that is, I will explain. But you just need some sort of flour and water, basically, and a bowl. And yeah, let's go. Let's go. Okay. So, if you didn't see the first lesson, then this is you learning it. Otherwise, hopefully I was exercising your brain a little bit with this question. Can you think of any differences between a bacteria and a yeast cell, and any similarities? And any similarities between a yeast cell and a plant, and any differences. I'll put this on the screen, so if you came last week, hopefully this will make you go, oh yeah. Chitin, which I found out in my first lesson is actually pronounced chitin, and a picture of a woodlouse, making food, and DNA, and a picture of this bacteria. So, last week we heard, do you remember this? Bacteria have their DNA all loosey-goosey in their little cells. You're okay with what I mean by bacteria, aren't you? You're okay with what I mean by DNA? DNA is the little proteins in nearly every single one of your cells, and it's the stuff that tells living things what they're going to be. It's like the instruction booklet. So your DNA decides what colour your eyes are, what colour your hair is, roughly how tall you are. This DNA decides that the bacteria is going to be this little one-celled thing. So bacteria have their DNA just all floating around inside them. And we found out last week that plants and animals and fungi have it all wrapped up neatly in a little membrane, which is called a nucleus. And we found out that those things are called eukaryotes, and I said that you're a eukaryote because all your different cells, you're quite a complicated animal with muscle cells and liver cells and stem cells and all that. But in all of your cells, your DNA isn't sloshing around loosey-goosey. It's found neatly in this little nucleus. Apart from blood cells don't have DNA. Let's forget about them. So, one of the big differences between a bacteria and a yeast cell is that a bacteria doesn't have a nucleus, and the plant cell and the yeast have both got their DNA in a nucleus, all right? And the next one, what is chitin? Did you remember that? Chitin is the stuff that makes up the fungus cell walls. So fungus and plants can both stand upright without bones because they've got rigid cell walls, but the yeast cell ones are made out of chitin, and the plants are made out of cellulose. And the making food one, you remember this? Plants can make their own food, but yeast, like us, we're going to talk about this today, yeast need to take in food. And another similarity between the bacteria and the yeast, I might test you on this later, is that they're both one cell big. The yeast cell is a lot bigger than the bacteria. Bacteria are tiny, yeast cells are bigger, but they're both just one cell big. Whew. Right, so in the fungus kingdom, you've got your yeasts and your moulds and your mushrooms. What makes the yeast stand out is that they are single-celled. The moulds and the mushrooms are a bit like us, are kind of more than one cell cobbled together. But yeah, yeasts are just a single cell, and they don't have anything called hyphae, which isn't a really useful thing to say before we've studied mushrooms and we know what a hyphae is. But these long stringy things are hyphae. So yeasts, they're only one cell big. They can kind of join themselves up together in gangs to make things that look a little bit like hyphae, but they're not true hyphae, all right? So more of that next week. This isn't a yeast because this is hyphae here. Okay, right. Can you please just suck some air into your lungs and push it out again? We need to talk about what yeast do. You remember we did this activity last week where we put a balloon on top of a bottle, filled it with yeast and sugar and warm water, and the balloon blew up. Why? Let's talk about it a bit more. Just suck some air into your lungs with me. And then push it out through your mouth. Oh, scientifically proven to be relaxing. Do that again. Suck air in through your lungs. Push it out through your mouth. Through your lungs, through your nose, you know what I mean. What are you doing? What is the scientific, biological name for that? It's not a trick question. What did I just do? What are you doing? Well, it's breathing in it. It's breathing. Yes. First question, can yeast breathe? What do you think? Can yeast breathe? Can they breathe? No, they cannot breathe. Breathing is air going in and out of your lungs, okay? So I'm trained to teach science to secondary school children, but I do specialise in physics, electricity, waves, sound. So I'm going to use some biology words now, and I'm going to be trying to remember them as well as you do, because I keep forgetting them. Every time I teach them, they just leave my head. But breathing, easy one. Breathing, air going in and out of your lungs. You can only breathe if you've got lungs. So yeast, bacteria, plants, they can't breathe, okay? Even though they do take in oxygen, most of them. There's this other thing called respiration. And respiration means breaking down the sugar in your body to get energy, okay? So if anything that eats food, right? We talked about last week, plants make their own food, they make sugar, but if a plant wants to grow, it's still got to break down the sugar in its little plant body to grow, okay? So plants need energy, bacteria need energy, human beings need energy, and we get it by storing sugar in our bodies and then breaking it down when we need it, okay? So that's called respiring. You are respiring right now. I mean, you might not be moving around a lot, but your brain cells are working overtime, your heart is beating, your body's doing loads of stuff that it needs energy for, and how it's getting that energy is you've got sugar stored in your body from when you ate food, and your body is respiring. It's breaking down that sugar, and it's getting energy, okay? Respiring. Breaking down food, sugar, to get energy. Can yeast respire? Can yeast respire? Don't know why I'm saying it like that. Can yeast I'm Yorkshire, respire? Can they? What do you think? The answer is yes. In fact, all living things respire. All life respires. Isn't that amazing? Because if you're going to be alive, you need energy. If you're going to grow, reproduce, you need energy, and you get that from respiring, from breaking down the sugar, food in your body. Whew. So last week we were talking about how you put some yeast and some sugar and some warm water in a bottle, you get carbon dioxide that fills the balloon. The yeast aren't breathing, but they are respiring. They're breaking down that sugar and they are releasing carbon dioxide, just like you're doing. Right, let's do a little bit of exercise, because we need to talk about what happens if you respire not using oxygen. So the yeast in this bottle, there's oxygen in that bottle, right? So they're respiring using oxygen. We're respiring using oxygen right now. That is why, where am I going to put you? I'll put you on my, you need to be a bit higher. Oh no, I've got a jug of water here, which I think you will fit perfectly on top of. Yeah, that's why we breathe. That's why we breathe in oxygen, because you've got sugar stored in all the cells in most of the cells in your body, and you need oxygen to break down the sugar and get that energy. So this yeast needed the oxygen it used the energy and the oxygen in the bottle to break down that sugar to get energy. So there's a type of respiration that uses oxygen. That's what we're doing right now. But if you do so much exercise, well, let's just do it, okay? And I'll tell you while we're exercising. So I am going to show you a picture of a stumpy little starfish later for reasons that I won't explain. But I was going to do some star jumps. There's a wall here. So I am going to do... I'll do a stumpy star jump. I'm going to call it the comet star jump for reasons that will be explained. You could just do a full star jump if you've got space, okay? But let's start doing some star jumps. Ready? Stand up! Stand up! Come on! Do it with me! Come on, people! It's good for you. Unless, I don't know, unless you shouldn't exercise. But if you're a fit and healthy person, come on, let's do it. 3, 2, 1. Stumpy star jump with me. So, yeah, I've learned something incredible this week that I did not know. Respiring. Breaking down the sugar in your body to get energy. Most of the time, humans do the kind of respiring that uses oxygen. That's why we breathe. But there is a different kind of respiring that doesn't use oxygen, and it's called fermenting. So I knew that. What I didn't know is humans ferment. I know, I didn't know it was called fermenting when humans do it, but it is. So when you do it, let's jog on the spot for a bit. We need to go faster. Jog, fast, jog. When you do loads of exercise, you might have heard of this. When you do loads of exercise, you get lactic acid building up in your body. That's because when you do loads and loads of exercise, Like, I don't know, if you're running away from a bear or something, your body needs loads of energy, right? Really fast, because bear. But you can't get enough oxygen into your body to do the kind of respiring that uses oxygen. So if you do loads and loads of activity really quickly and your body needs loads of energy, it does this type of respiring. It breaks down the sugar in your body to get energy, not using oxygen, because you haven't got enough oxygen. And that is called fermenting. Did that make any sense? I was just like running and saying words. I'm not very good at multitasking. So respiring, breaking down the sugar in your body to get energy. If you don't have enough oxygen, you do respiring that doesn't use oxygen, and it's called fermenting. In humans, and also in a lot of bacteria and stuff, it's called lactic acid fermenting, which might be, if you worked hard enough, it might be what you're doing right now. If you can't get enough oxygen in your body to break down those sugars, you will be doing lactic acid fermentation. Your body's breaking down the sugar to get energy, but it's not using oxygen, and it's producing lactic acid. We used to think that lactic acid like built up in your muscles and made your muscles sore. Apparently that is not actually true. There might be lactic acid building up in your muscles, but as soon as you slow down, you get oxygen in your body, it just goes away and it's fine. Right, so that's lactic acid fermentation, breaking down the sugar in your body to get energy, but it doesn't use any oxygen. Bacteria do it. If you ever had yogurt, that's why it tastes kind of like tangy, because it's got lactic acid in it. Bacteria do lactic acid fermentation as well. That's what makes yogurt taste nice. Right. But there's another kind of fermentation, which is what yeast do. They don't do lactic acid fermentation. They do something called alcohol fermentation, which doesn't make lactic acid. It makes, say it with me, what does alcohol fermentation make? It makes alcohol. Yeah! Suddenly it all makes sense. I've never really understood fermentation. So yeast that are on like the skin of grapes, they do alcohol fermentation. They break down the sugar of the grapes, not using alcohol, so not using oxygen, so they make alcohol. And that's what makes the grape juice taste so delicious. And it's also alcohol fermentation that makes bread taste delicious. We're going to make some in a sec. And and Marmite, all kinds of stuff. Right, so I'm going to give you this sheet because that was so many biology words. Let's see if we can get them to stay in our heads, right? I have got some actions on one side: respiration, lactic acid fermentation, breathing, and alcohol fermentation. And I've got some descriptions on the other side. If you're just looking at this thinking, Lara, I haven't got a clue what you're talking about, I couldn't take any of that information in, don't worry about it. Partly this is to get your brain exercising, but also it just means in a few seconds I'll go through the answers with you, and then hopefully it'll make more sense. So, respiration, lactic acid fermentation, breathing, alcohol fermentation. Which one of those is breaking down food without oxygen and lactic acid is made? Which one of those means air moving in and out of the lungs? Which one of those is done by humans and bacteria sometimes? Which one is breaking down food without oxygen, makes alcohol? Which one means breaking down food to release energy? And which one is done by yeast? You might end up, well, hopefully you will end up with more than one line going to some of them. I've just sort of done the main lines, but actually you could draw quite a few lines. And if that's too easy, I've put, what? How can that be too easy? But if you're thinking, yeah, I knew that. All right, try writing a word equation for alcohol fermentation then. That's really tricky. Really tricky actually, because I barely mentioned it. But in alcohol fermentation, sugar turns into something and something, that's two words, and releases energy. If you did the yeast in a bottle activity last week, you've got a few clues, I suppose. And after we've done that, then we'll start putting flour and water in a bowl. Yay! Shaking out some food for my little sourdough starter pet while you're doing this. I should say, regulars know, but if you're new, then every time I'm live on YouTube, there's no comments on YouTube, but there is always a post at the top of my Facebook page that you can comment on if you want, and then I'll read it out at the end of the lesson. So if you're watching live, then on my Facebook post right now, on my Facebook page at the top, there's a post saying, say hi here if you're watching live. And if you're not watching live, then hello, hi, thanks for watching on Catch Up. That's kind. You've probably paused it and skipped this bit, which would be fair. Right, should we go through the answer? Yeah? And if you didn't know, then you'll know when I go through the answer, won't you? Here we are. So, respiration. Respiration. It sort of gets confused with breathing, but respiration means breaking down food to release energy. All living things do respiration because all living things need energy. Lactic acid fermentation it's respiration, it's breaking down food, but it's the type of respiration that doesn't use oxygen and it makes lactic acid. Breathing is the one that's just air going in and out of your lungs. So if the only things with lungs can do breathing. And alcohol fermentation it's another type of respiration because it's breaking down food, but again, it doesn't use oxygen, but that one makes alcohol. So fermentation means respiring without using oxygen, and there's at least 2 different kinds. So then we've got done by humans and bacteria sometimes. That's the lactic acid one, and the yeast does the alcohol fermentation. Right, and the word equation, well done if you had a go at that. Sugar turns into, so if you're thinking of, like, this is alcohol fermentation, so this is what the yeast does. It turns sugar into alcohol and carbon dioxide, and it releases energy. Okay, let's make some... Oh, my big water jug's still there. You don't need to be that high now. Okay, right. So let's look at what yeast can do. Woo-hoo! We're going to make a sourdough starter. Sourdough is a really famous, sort of expensive, very nice kind of bread. I don't love it, to be honest with you. I don't like the texture of it. Anyway, it's super posh and everyone pays a lot of money for it. And that's because most bread, like the bread that I make, is just yeast from a packet in a bowl with sugar and flour, and that's it. But sourdough doesn't use yeast from a packet. It uses yeast found naturally in the flour and the environment. So the idea is you just get flour and water, you mix it together, you leave it for ages doing little things to it, which I'm going to tell you about now. And the yeast actually just naturally found in the flour, the yeast from the environment, and even the yeast like on your hands end up in the flour, breaking down the sugar and releasing oxygen and carbon dioxide. And that's called a sourdough starter. So you take a little bit of it to make your sourdough bread. And obviously, because all the yeasts are different, all the sourdough starters are different, and the longer you keep it for, the sort of richer the flavour and the more amazing your sourdough will be. Anyway, right, so let's do it, okay? First of all, let's just put 50 grams of flour, it's supposed to be, and 50 grams of water in a bowl and mix it up. And that is going to be your starter. If you've got scales, you could just do that now. A lot of the internet says to not use organic flour because it's got different enzymes in it. I'm finding that my organic flour works all right. The best thing to use is bread flour, like strong flour. You can use wholemeal bread flour, that's fine. I would just, if you've just got plain flour, just use that and then just see how it goes. I think you'll spot straight away if it's working. So you've got to use 50 grams of flour and 50 grams of water. If you haven't got scales, I'll show you with a cup what that looks like. Because flour and water are they're different sizes, right? So they take up different space in the cup. So you can't just do 1 full cup of flour and 1 full cup of water. There we go, I'm making a mess as usual. Let's get some of that out. So yeah, for people who haven't got scales, 50 grams of flour in a cup looks a bit like that. What's that? It's about half a cup, isn't it? So I'll put that in here. I've used up every single bowl in my kitchen because I've now made 4 sourdough starters for these lessons. So I'm on to my slightly pretentious kilner jar. So right, half of this cup is 50 grams. I mean, I don't think it really matters how many grams you use as long as you use the same amount of each. But I'll show you what 50 grams of water looks like, because it's not half a cup, it'll be a lot less. It's probably about a quarter of a cup. Oops. Yeah, there you go. So don't just do a full cup of flour and a full cup of water. If you're just using cups to weigh it out, it's probably about half a cup of flour and a quarter of a cup of water, and that'll both weigh the same. See what I mean? Physics in it. Okay. Oh, people were asking if it was warm or cold water. Sorry, and I keep forgetting to say it's cold. It's just normal cold water. Sometimes it's a problem if you've got a lot of chlorine in your tap water. So sometimes people boil it and then leave it to cool. Yeah, I should have said to do that, but I'm just using tap water and it seems to be working fine. But I think it depends where in the country you live. There we go. Only spilled a little bit of water. Right, and that's for day one. That's it. It's just normal cold tap water. I'll put you back up here now. Normal cold tap water. Flour that they say that isn't organic, but I've used organic and it seems fine. You know, you can always do it again later if it doesn't work. And you just mix it into a paste. And this is where things get exciting, because there are different things you have to do to your sourdough starter every day. So you'll find, first of all, it literally just looks like sort of, you know, rubbish, badly made Play-Doh. But after day one, you start to see little bubbles appearing, hopefully. So yeah, because the yeast and the bacteria, there are tiny little microbes all around us, right? We are breathing in tiny little yeast cells and bacteria cells and viruses all the time, and it's on our skin. So that finds its way, which one? I'll do this one because this one's yesterday's. That finds its way into the flour. You do cover it up, but quite loosely. So I've put a plate on, but that's quite enough for the yeast and the bacteria to still get to it. So I'll show you this, right? This is a great comparison. So this is day 2, because this is the starter that I made yesterday. Oh, someone has messaged to say, what were the amounts of flour? 60 grams of flour and 60 grams of water. But I'll link you, it's on my Facebook page already and in my Facebook group. I'll link you to this website that I used for the recipe, which is really good. In fact, I'll show you it almost now. Yeah, here's the flour and water that I just mixed up for today. And here's yesterday's. Can you see I've got loads of bubble forming? So that is yeast and also bacteria doing fermentation. You are most welcome, person by message. You have helped everyone, I'm sure. So yeah, so there's the bacteria and the yeast are starting to give off carbon dioxide, just like we do, right? Now, what you have to do, I will find you this website now. There's loads of websites dedicated to how to make sourdough starters. So the idea is that you have to feed it. So every day you put a little bit more flour and water in and stir it up, because the yeast is going to be using up the sugar, and it needs to be fed. It needs more sugar or it'll die. I know, suddenly we've got pets to look after. Well, I'll just show you this now. I'll show you it. But yeah, very basically, there's a lot of stuff written on the internet about sourdough starters. Basically, you do what we've just done. You mix flour and water together, and then like the next day you give it a bit more flour and water. The next day you give it a bit more flour and water. And the idea is that after about a week, it'll be yeasty enough and fermented enough that you can use it to make bread. So you take a little bit out and you use it to make bread. But yeah, I'll show you this website, because I think they're great, this person. Here we go. So if you want to look it up, the website that I'm using is foodbodsourdough.com. So I've used this, if you just look up like food bod sourdough, how to make a starter, or they have got a YouTube video as well that goes along with it. There they are. It's an hour long, but wait, shush, no, it's not. Oh my God, I just keep getting that advert. Sorry. Just that age. Right, how to make a starter. So day 1, which is what you're on, is just mix 50 grams of water. Did I say 60? I think I said 60, didn't I? It's 50. It doesn't matter. Mix 50 grams of water and 50 grams of flour in a bowl. So that's what you've just done. Loosely cover it. There you go. Job's a good one. So the next day, day 2, that's what mine is starting to look like. That's when you have to add another 30 grams of flour and 30 grams of water and stir it well. So shall I do that now? I've got, this is my day 2 one. I've got 30 grams of flour going in there, and I'll stick 30 grams of water in as well. What they say is that your sourdough starter sort of turns into a little pet, and you have to like look after it every day. It's so weird because I'm not used to stirring pets, right? It sort of seems cruel, but apparently it likes it. So this is day 2. I only brought 1 spoon, that was silly. So yeah, you've got to stir up your little pet. There we go. And then we should find bubbles start forming on that again. And then, this is where it starts to get exciting. So day 3, you just feed it again. You can see it starting to look a little bit looser and more bubbly. And then day 4, this is the bit that was breaking people's hearts. You've got to throw half of it away. So can I show you? I'll show you my other starters. So this one is day 4 now from a previous lesson. Can you see how bubbly it is? And it's really starting to smell vinegary. I think that's mainly the bacteria in there actually that are doing lactic acid fermentation. And this is the one that I made with wholemeal flour. Can you see that's really starting to look very bubbly now? And one of them I'm on day 6, which is incredible. Like I say, I don't have any pets. I've never looked after anything for 6 days. So day 4, you've got to throw half of it away. Because obviously you can't just keep feeding it more and more flour and water without throwing any away, because the sourdough will take over your house. But it does feel a little bit brutal. And here, this is a really good example of the hooch that sometimes happens. So this is the very first one that I made. You should see eventually that you maybe start getting a little brown liquid on the top. Apparently that has got alcohol in it, and it's a sign that your sourdough needs feeding. So I'm going to feed this little guy later on. Yeah, that means that the yeast are running out of sugar and they need more. So this person on this website ends up saying, and you can name your sourdough starter. Do not name your sourdough starters. I've said that every lesson and everyone is doing it. Don't name it. We're not going to name them, okay? Because we're not all going to look after them. I made this one on day 1. Literally on day 2, forgot to feed it. Just sat in my kitchen for like 72 hours or something, and then I started feeding it and it seems fine. But please, let's not name them, okay? Because they're gonna die. Obviously, we're gonna forget about them, and I don't want to be responsible for anyone killing any pets. It's just a bowl of flour and water, okay? Just a bowl of flour and water, all right? If I keep this one alive for 2 weeks, then I'll maybe make some bread with it in one of the lessons, and then, okay, I can't lie, this one's already called Stephen, because someone in the lesson yesterday called it Stephen, okay? But none of the others have got names. I can't take this kind of responsibility. Right, so I need to teach you some more stuff. Right, while you're stirring, we talk quite a lot on Theatre of Science about your gut pets. I call them gut pets. It's like your gut flora is what it's called. So how you digest food is, you put food in, digesting this means breaking food into little pieces. So you put food in your mouth, your teeth break your food down to little pieces, it goes into your stomach and your stomach squishes it, breaks it down more. But the really important bit is when it comes out of your stomach and into your guts. And in your guts, loads and loads and loads of bacteria, and also some yeast, which digest your food, right? And turn it into tiny, tiny little pieces so that it can be spread all around your body. So your gut pets, your gut flora, are about 99% bacteria and 1% yeast. But don't forget, yeast cells are bigger, so they're still quite important in there. And yeah, it's actually quite difficult for scientists to measure how much of your gut pets, how much of your gut flora is yeast, because we take in so much yeast anyway. We eat yeast and we breathe it in, so it's hard to study someone's gut flora and think like how much of that yeast is always there and how much of it is just passing through. But anyway, you do have yeast in your body right now, working very hard for you. Let's talk a little bit about how yeast reproduce, because this is quite a famous fact. So reproduction just means like making a new one of your cells, right? All living things have to reproduce themselves in order to carry on the chain. So humans do this thing called sexual reproduction. A lot of plants do it as well. Humans with male bits make sperm. Humans with female bits make egg. Sperm and egg get together, new thing grows, all right? So you are a mixture of two different people's DNA. DNA from one person, DNA from another person, mixing together in the egg and the sperm, making you, right? That's why you don't look exactly the same as either one of your parents. And plants, it's the same. So the plant, male bit of the plant makes pollen, which is kind of the sperm. Female bit of the plant makes an egg, and they get together, make a new plant, right? But there are many different, so that's sexual reproduction, but there are other ways of reproducing. Hence, me talking about stumpy starfish earlier, because I just found this out. The common comet starfish can reproduce by something called fragmentation. I didn't know this. So if its arm gets chopped off, you know, hopefully it doesn't, very sad. Here's a sort of fairly gross picture of a starfish's arm, but look what it does. Oh, a new starfish starts to grow from the arm. So this is reproduction by something called fragmentation. So this is the full-size arm, and eventually all these starfish arms will grow to that size as well, and you get a whole new starfish, which is why it's called the comet starfish. Isn't that lovely? Because it looks like a comet. Bacteria famously reproduce by just splitting themselves in half. So bacteria get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then eventually we can see in this beautiful photo here, this one is just starting to divide. So unlike you, this bacteria is going to be an exact copy. It's only got one parent, so the DNA of this parent are just going to be the DNA of the child bacteria. So they're going to be what we call a clone of each other, okay? And a lot of yeasts do that as well. So there are at least 1,500 different species of yeast, and they reproduce by something called budding, which is what you can see in this cute little picture here. Just a little bud starts to grow on the side of the yeast and then turns into a yeast cell. Coral do it as well, apparently. Here's an actual photo of budding happening. Apparently, in healthy yeast cells, they should always be at some sort of stage of budding. So you should be able to see all of them budding here. Can you see a tiny little... There's this one that's just started, tiny little bud on the side, and there's one that's got a bit bigger. I think that one is almost a full-size bud, so that's just going to divide and be a new yeast cell. So that's how they divide. Right, whew. I think, have we covered everything? We've looked at the difference between yeast and the bacteria. We've looked at how yeast respire when they do use oxygen and when they don't use oxygen, which means they produce alcohol, which evaporates off when you bake bread, but makes it taste delicious. We've looked at how they reproduce in budding. Are you ready for the quiz? Yeah? Okay, good. Okay, I'm going to ask you 6 questions, and the answers, this is multiple choice, have all got letters next to them. So if you've got the worksheet, if you've gone to my website and got the worksheet, you can just circle what you think is the right answer. If you're looking at it on the screen, just get a pen now, and where you think the right answer is, just write down the letter, okay? And you should end up with a word made up of 6 letters. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Question number 1. Roughly how many different species of yeast do we know of? Roughly how many different species of yeast do we know of? Oh, I said this so fast. If you think that we know about 1.5 species of yeast, write an A. If you think we know about 15 species of yeast, write an E. If you think scientists know of 150 species of yeast, write a C. And if you think it's 1,500 species of yeast, then write an S, okay? What do you think our mystery word begins with? Oh, I just want to feed all my little pets now. But we better crack on. Question number 2. Yeast does not... Complete the sentence. Yeast does not respire, write an A. Yeast does not reproduce, write a T. Yeast does not breathe, write an H. Yeast does not live, write an E. So this is our second letter of our mystery word. You got that? Number 3. I'm just gonna feed Stephen while you're doing that, because all this brown liquid is making me feel sad. Look at that. Gotta cheer him up. Oh no, see, he's even got a gender now. This is awful. Question number 3. Getting energy from food without using oxygen. Getting energy from food without using oxygen is called E, fermentation, R, breathing, A, exercise, or I, fungus. What's it called when you get energy from food without using oxygen? If you think it's fermentation, write an E. If you think it's breathing, write an R. If you think it's exercise, write an A. And if you think it's fungus, write an I. What is it called when you get energy from food without using oxygen? Oh, Stephen, you smell fabulous, mate. Okay, you got that? Question number 4. Which of these is not a fact about yeast? Which of these is not a fact about yeast? So 3 of these things are true and 1 of these things are false. Which one is false? Some reproduce by budding, write T. It's 1 cell big, write R. It's smaller than bacteria, write E. It can take in oxygen, write A. Which one of those is wrong? Oh, I shouldn't be talking and looking after my sourdough starter. I think I just fed Stephen and I actually should have thrown half of him away. Oh, man. Oh. This is just a nightmare. It's only just begun. Which of these is not a fact about yeast? Some can reproduce by budding. Is that true or false? It's 1 cell big. Is that true or false? It's smaller than bacteria. Is that true or false? It can take in oxygen. So write down the false one, or write the letter next to the false one. And question 5. Yeast makes up about 1% of your, is it T, brain cells, P, gut pets, F, blood, or E, feet? Yeast makes up about 1% of your T, brain cells, P, gut pets, F, blood, or E, feet. Yeah, I've completely lost track of the days and done Stephen wrong, but look how happy he is now. And bubbles are already starting to come back, so that's a very good sign. And finally, last question. When yeast breaks down sugar without using oxygen, it produces, is the answer just alcohol, write a P? Is the answer lactic acid, write an H? Is it carbon dioxide and alcohol, write an S? Or is it carbon dioxide and lactic acid, write a Y? Oh, Stephen's so bubbly. My days, I think I'm actually almost ready to make sourdough with this bad boy. It's a shame I don't like maybe I will like my own sourdough. Okay, have you got it? I was loving on Facebook last week how many different words were coming up in the comments. Because obviously you got to get all the answers right to get the words, and it's probably more fun if you don't. Someone had a word that used only incorrect letters, which is very impressive, like chippets or something. Okay, shall we go through it? Question number 1. Roughly how many different species of yeast do we know of? The answer was 1,500. So your first letter should be S. Okay. Question number 2. So the first letter is an S. Yeast does not breathe. It doesn't breathe. You've got to have lungs to breathe. Breathing's just air going in and out of your lungs. So yeast does not breathe. So the second letter was an H. Number 3, getting energy from food is called respiring. Respiring that doesn't use oxygen is called, the answer is fermentation. So the third letter was an E. Number 4, which of these is not a fact about yeast? I said this pretty fast. Yeast is not smaller than bacteria. Yeast is bigger than bacteria. Bacteria is teeny weeny and yeast is only teeny. So the next letter was an E. Question 5, yeast makes up about 1% of your gut pets. It does. Yeast, quite possibly in your brain as well, and in your blood, and in your feet. We haven't talked about the dark side of yeast, about yeast that causes diseases and infections and things. We've kept it quite positive today. It's not great to have yeast in your brain or your blood or your feet. And number 6, this was maybe the hardest one. If you did our activity last week, right, this yeast is fermenting and it is making carbon dioxide, which is what filled the balloon, but it is also making alcohol, which is what tastes bread and other fermented products taste so delicious. So the answer was S. So the mystery word was sheeps. Well done if you got sheeps, and very well done if you didn't get sheeps, 'cause it doesn't really matter. If you got chippets, then I'm absolutely delighted. I just hope you've learned something this lesson. Okay, right, flipping you back round. Okay, you lot, that is the end of our yeast lesson. Thank you so much for joining me. I am not alone. I know there's a lot of adults out there now going, wow, I didn't think I was the kind of person that had a sourdough starter, but it turns out I am. So I'm going to carry on feeding these guys. And yeah, I'll try and make some I'll maybe make some sourdough in one of the lessons. Maybe we can do that if you manage to keep your sourdough starter alive. That would be a nice celebration at the end of term. Yes, that was the end of the lesson. So I'm now going to go over to my Facebook page and see if anyone has left me any comments on my Facebook page. Because, as I say, there's no comments on YouTube. Obviously, you'll have noticed. So yeah, if you're watching live, there's now a post on my Facebook page saying that you can comment on that. Yeah, there we go, look, there's some comments. If you're not watching live, hello, thank you. I don't say enough hellos and thank yous to the people who watch on catch up, but it is hugely appreciated. Makes all the difference. There really wouldn't be any point in me saving these on YouTube if you were not watching them. So thank you. Right, let's have a look and see what these people have got to say. I should do my ad, shouldn't I? Because that is entirely how I make money. So if you are, I don't know what that means really. If you're enjoying these lessons, if you are using me as a resource, how my business model works is everything is free. The lessons are free. The printouts from my website are free. Everything is stored on Catch-Up for free. There is no paywall. IGCSE lessons are free. Lego Story Show, which is happening very soon, live on YouTube, is free. And I just say, if you think it's worth £5 a month, please can you send me £5 a month? So if you go to my About section, which is on YouTube, and you click the link to this website called Coffee, then you get to this place where you can send me £5 a month. Or if you're on my Facebook page, there's like a blue button that says sign up. Or if on my website there's a pink button that says sign up. I've tried to put the link everywhere. If you go to Coffee, send me £5 a month and I will send you the greatest and least reliable science magazine in existence. I'll send you Theatre of Science magazine to say thank you so much. So this is the only thing that my supporters get, people who send me £5 a month, that no one else gets. If you send me £5 a month, you will get this issue, which is on acids. So husband is a graphic designer, which helps immensely. I spend ages, I can't even tell you how long, so long, researching a comic. This one is all about acid rain and what caused acid rain. And husband illustrates it for me. Because it's about acids, you've got a which acidic object are you quiz. And then I'll tell you all about the different objects and your personality. You're welcome. There's a choose your own adventure. This issue of the magazine comes with a free packet of sweets, which I can't find. Oh no, there it is. I haven't found any member of the Science Alliance who is allergic to any of the ingredients in these sour sweets, but ask an adult before you eat them. But you can eat the sour sweets and read about why acids taste sour. And I'll send you some litmus papers as well, so you can test acidic objects around your house. And if you support me with £6 a month, which most people are doing, which is lovely, then I'll send you the mould issue of my magazine as well, which comes with a home compostable plastic bag, which is very hard to find, so that you can grow your own mould and then dispose of it in an eco-friendly way. And it's got another comic and a choose your own adventure. It's very good. But this is also available in my coffee shop, so you can buy it separately. So if you want to support me with £5, you get the acid magazine, but then you can buy that one. So obviously it's kind of relevant at the moment because we're studying fungus. Right, thank you so much. I'm so sorry. I have to do that ad because it's now literally the only way that anyone in my family makes money is me doing this job. So I need money for my job. Oh, is this Sebastian and Humphrey? Yes, hello. Sebastian here. This is the Lego I got. Oh, Mythica Sky Lion was my favourite ride, and you should do a Lego story time on Lego. I should do a Lego story show on Lego. You are so right. That absolutely has to be done. How have I never heard of Mythica Sky Lion? Oh, that's so good. Oh, they're so cute. Look at their little stripy heads. Hello from Magnus. Hello, Magnus. Oh, you're on holiday in Perthshire. Spotted some fungus on the famous Burnham Oak from Macbeth. What? Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's just like all my favourite things. Okay, so we've actually done a lesson about Macbeth, haven't we? When I delved into Shakespeare, which was really fun. We will do that again. Okay, so the Shakespeare play, Macbeth, they talk about Burnham Wood moving. Like Macbeth will only be defeated when Burnham Wood can move, and how could that possibly happen? So you have not only been to you've seen the famous Burnham oak tree, but there is a fungus growing on it. Wow, Hopefully in a couple of weeks I'll know what that fungus is. I don't at the moment because I haven't researched that far. Don't tell anybody. The Burnham Oak. There is the Burnham Oak. Wow. Okay, I'm opening all these. Hello, Margot and Jan. It was great to meet you, Hef. Margot and Jan. Hello, Margot and Jan. It's all coming back to me. We've been joining your lessons ever since. Ah, no way. And we have your signature. I went to a home educating festival this summer, and one person asked me for an autograph, and then that became a thing. It was so cool. It was like being Maddie Moat just for 5 hours. You've got a science scrapbook. That's very cool. Wow, why don't I have a science scrapbook? That's a great idea. Hello from Isabel. We're loving how many of the parents are excited about this session for the sourdough starter. I know. It's one of those really cool things, right? I love it when we do in theatre science, stuff that I've heard about for years, but didn't really know what it was. And now I know what it is. So a sourdough starter, you grow it and grow it and grow it for about a week until it's really bubbly, and then you're supposed to put the lid on it firmly and keep it in the fridge so it sort of goes to sleep. I didn't mention that. The yeast that you get in packets is what's called dormant. So it's still alive, but it's dormant. It's kind of resting. It's not quite hibernating, but it's not active. And when it's like humans, you know, it likes warmth and water and food. So when you give it that stuff, it sort of wakes up. Good morning, Imogen and Ophelia. Hello. We make sourdough bread. It also makes great pancakes. Interesting. Our mum uses lacto fermentation. See, there's definitely a crossover in there between home educators and sourdough starter and homemade sauerkraut and kimchi. Our dad uses yeast to make mead. Oh, how much do I want to go around your house for tea? What? You make sourdough bread, and also your mum makes sauerkraut and kimchi, like fermented vegetables, and your dad makes mead. That is just also delicious sounding. Hello, Cody and Emily, who are watching live for only the second time. Cody and Emily, how is that possible? How have you only been watching live twice? I feel like I've known you my whole life. Hello, welcome for the second time. That's so nice. Hello for my sheeps. Ah, Oscar, you sent me a picture of your actual sheeps. Okay, we've got a lot of photos to look at after these comments. Don't let me chat for too long, because Lego Story Show about stained glass, well, glass in general and how it's made and what it is, starts in 33 minutes, and I did a terrible job of explaining why glass is see-through yesterday, so I need to read it again before I tell you about it in 33 minutes. Hello from Flynn. Flynn's mum is very excited as she's wanted to make a sourdough starter for ages. Flynn, did you type any of that? No, there's literally no children in the comments today, is there? Flynn's mum is very excited. Flynn's mum, I know it's you. Where did you get your mushroom squishy from? I know, it's not Jellicat. There's this company that is not Jellicat. It's much cheaper than Jellicat. What's it called? I can't remember. You're so cute. Nah, it's got like a little green and pink. It's in, what's that posh shop that sells wrapping paper? I'm doing a terrible job of explaining. Don't know. Sorry. Hello, Bella, anyway. Or Bella's mum, should I say. All right, Arthur and Abba. They'd like to complain about my parenting, totally fair, as I woke them up this morning by playing the periodic table song really loudly. Come on, Alpha and Abba, that's a great way to wake up. Which one was it? Was it, this is the periodic table, no more gas is stable? Come on, that's great. Although being woken up by anything is never a nice feeling, is it? Hello, Jay and Daisy and Daniel. All right, Mummy's looking forward to this. And she loves sourdough bread. Hello, fun Gus. Gus, even when we're learning about like electricity in 2 years' time, I'm still going to be calling you fun Gus. And everyone else is going to be like, what's she doing? That's rude. All right, Jake. Hello. That's a picture of you. Amazing. Hiya. Oh, there's your flower. Splendid. And your water. It's funny because, Jake, you're leaning over your computer, and now I'm doing that to see this picture of you. There was a whole copy of Physics World, says Sebastian, on the science of bread. Yesterday we went to Legoland Windsor for the first time ever. Oh, hello, Humphrey, it's you. You went to Legoland Windsor for the first time ever. What did you think? Oh, it was awesome, good. I went when it was raining, and it was quite a sad experience, actually. Hello, Robin, and your pet, slightly flammable snake, Hissy, and Celeste. Hello. Robin says, I like the idea of the dark side of yeast. Sif yeast. Who knew Darth had a yeasty side again? Oh, Darth's been around, Danny. Yeah, I'm sure he's got a yeasty sidekick. So this is the fun fact about your gut pets. One of the types of yeast that is definitely a gut pet is totally safe in your guts, but it can start to behave in a way that can make you really poorly. I think it like joins up together. It makes you poorly. But one of the bacteria, at least in your gut pets, keeps that yeast under control, like makes it behave. It's it's just so complicated, isn't it? This is why I get very upset by like herbicides and fungicides and stuff that are designed to just kill bacteria and kill yeast, because it's all so complicated and working together. Anyway, we saw all of these mushrooms on Tuesday. They are adorable. They've got a lot of comments. Is this a string of mushroom photos? It is. Wow. Oh, Bella, I'm so glad you sent me loads of mushrooms that have different shaped caps, because we're going to learn about that. We're going to learn all about the caps. Hello, Amelia and the usual Kitty. Have you seen the show Taskmaster? There's a new series tonight and we're rather excited. No, but so many people in my life talk about Taskmaster. It's one of these things I'm deliberately avoiding. I do not watch Taskmaster, as we say in Yorkshire. But enjoy it. I'm not going to get sucked in. I'm not. I can't. No, I can't. I'm a very busy person. I've got like 5 pets to feed now. Stephen, the bowl of water and flour. Remember to feed him. Oh, no. Hello, Edward and Annabella and Evelyn and Rose. Rose loves your nail varnish. Thanks, Rose. I thought green was a bit of a risk, but I'm loving it. Do you need to cover the starters overnight? Yes, do cover them. Although I forgot to cover this guy. It doesn't seem to have made that much difference. But flies, obviously. I'm not in my kitchen, so that's okay. But I've got quite a lot of fruit flies in my kitchen. So yeah, it's better to cover them. But you don't have to cover them very well. Someone's just bought my mould issue from my coffee shop. Thank you. But yeah, when it's all ready in a week or two's time. Anyway, it might be a bit buried now, but I have linked to that website. What was it? Something Bod's sourdough starter, food Bod sourdough starter. So if you go to my Facebook group on my Facebook page, you'll find that and it'll tell you what to do. Hello, Jessica and Rosie the dog who is watching with her. All right, Tris. Hello. Maybe Percy as well. My mum doesn't like chucking half the sourdough away, so we make sourdough pancakes, says Kaya. Does that work, does it? Oh, that's nice. All right, Damien. Hello. Damien's a regular now. Chloe, do we need to cover the sourdough? Yes, you do. Sorry, I should have said that. We named our sourdough starter Brownie. That was dictated by the children. Brownie! Oh, that's a cute name. You're going to make blackberry wine this week. Oh, Benjamin, I am a little bit over blackberries. That's a great idea. How do I make blackberry wine? I need to look that up. Oh, it's Percy. All right, Percy, hello. Apparently those are jumping jacks, not star jumps. Star jumps you don't touch down at the wide point. No, I've been doing jumping jacks the whole time. Star jumps you don't touch the ground at the wide point. You just go badoosh, badoosh, badoosh. Whoa, star jumps are hard. All right, I'm upping my game. No more jumping jacks for me. Only star jumps. Thank you, keen athlete. All right, Grace and Hope. Hello, Grace and Hope. Hello. Wait, that's one surrage tagging another surrage. But anyway, hello, surrages. Hello, the small surrages. You are quite welcome. Your fingers seem to have gone mouldy. Oh, all right, fine. Can you use small amounts of flour to start off with so you don't have to throw half of it away? Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, I'm assuming no, because everyone on the internet who makes sourdough starters says you have to throw half of it away. So there must be something else going on, because you're right. Otherwise, you'd just start with like 2 grams, wouldn't you? And just build up. Unless you could do that and it just takes longer. Yeah, I don't know. That's a really good question. Has the lesson started yet? Yes, I know that you know that. Yeah, all good. Yeah, there you go. Oh, Leanne, look at this. Oh, you've got yours in a mason jar as well. You've gone classy. All right, Kaya, hello. Both yeast and plant have cell walls. Very good. All right, Ruben and Kobe. They were here yesterday, but couldn't comment. The answer to your alcohol fermentation question is sugar turns into alcohol and carbon dioxide. Very nice. Very good. I didn't think anyone was going to get the carbon dioxide. Differences. Okay, good. This is actually getting... Don't you look after your kid? Yeah, Chloe, technically I have looked after my children for longer than 6 days. Yeah, you're right. I do look after my children. But they're kind of more self-sustaining than this stuff. They're a bit less effort now. The cactus is cute. The cactus is cute and the yeast cell is not. How dare you? That yeast cell was adorable. Hello, hello, Shuki and Alza, and Eunice, and Salah, and Musa. Hello. Good to see you. All right, Chloe. Hello, Andrew. Pleased to see you as well. All right, good. I've only got 25 minutes now until the Lego story show about glass. Which I did on Facebook yesterday, obviously. And I just ended up sort of shouting, look, it's see-through, okay? It just is. So I really need to go away and remind myself of how to explain why glass is see-through. It's so weird. But first of all, I'm just refreshing and putting newest comments so that I can see if anyone else has joined. Here you go. You know, instead of throwing half the sourdough away, you can just make 2 sourdoughs. No, you can't. No, apparently that is something that you absolutely have to, I mean, throw it away, or as people are saying, like use it to make other delicious things like pancakes. Don't be tempted, because otherwise it'll just multiply like bacteria and you'll have a whole house full of bowls of flour and water. Do not be tempted to keep it. Eat it or chuck it away. Trissa's gone to college. No way. College. Wow. Tell them, I don't know. Well done. Good luck. I don't know. Say that I know that. And hello, Percy. Arthur and Abba, right, they were complaining. Aurelia just told me she shouldn't let me watch Lara. As I said, this would be a great idea. Oh no! Now Aurelia's getting woken up with the periodics on tomorrow morning, and it's all Arthur and Abba and my fault. I'm really sorry. And Sebastian is replying. Oh no, Humphrey's replying. Oh no, what's Physics World? A physics magazine? I didn't want to admit that I didn't know what Physics World was either. Why don't I get Physics World? Huh. The Science of Bread. Physics World. It sounds like, I mean, I love physics and the world. Hello, Rose. Rose and Pearl, you're making me do my excited voice. Hello, Rose and Pearl. Good to see you. Right, are we back? I think we are back. Oh no, there's Jet. All right, Jet, hiya. Oh, I'm Lana as well. We are celiac. Will the sourdough still work to make bread? Oh yeah, you've named it Kevin. Oh, that's amazing. Yes. Finley's verb was earpy. That's the kind of mystery word that I wanted. Earpy. That is excellent. You've got 2 pets now. Gigi, your cat, and Kevin, the sourdough starter, from Lana and Finley. Hello. And hello, Sophie. Yeah, someone else asked this yesterday, actually, and I didn't know, and I'm afraid I still didn't look it up. Does gluten-free flour work? I don't know. I mean, people were saying that you need gluten to sort of make bread, ideally, because that's what stretches it. But I don't know. I don't think... It's the starch in the flour that gets broken down into sugar that the yeast and the bacteria eat. So I don't know. I'm not a chemist. But I reckon that yeast and stuff will still be able to eat gluten-free flour. So you might work. I don't know. Did I mention that? I don't know. I don't know why I'm still talking, because I really don't know. I'm sorry. You'll have to look it up. Right. I'm going to go reset Lego Story Show and dress myself as a stained glass window for the Lego Story Show, which starts in 22 minutes. So go away, I don't know, have a snack, chat to your sourdough, and I'll see some of you in 22 minutes for the science of glass and how it is made. Oh, look at this picture of the Burnham Oak, though, just before I go. Wow. Oh, that is stunning, isn't it? What a beautiful, beautiful thing. Okay. Thank you for that. I love talking to you. Look, honestly, like, it really makes it, I mean, I don't know what I'd do. If I was just here on my own, it would be the saddest thing ever. Here's Oscar's sheep as well. Sheeps! I mean, you lot. God, the mystery word of sheeps. And one of you's just like, oh, here's some sheeps. Love it. Okay, right. I'm going to go. I am now. I'm going to go. I'll see you all soon. Bye.